Hey everyone, I want to spend time talking to you about story elements this week. Two important story elements are characters and settings in a story. We're going to focus on these two story elements this week and learn a little bit more about them. When we talk about characters in a story, we are talking about who or what the story is about. The who could be a person. The what could be an animal or a thing in the story. There can be one character in a story. There can be many characters in a story. When we talk about the main character of a story, that is an important character. Maybe that character showed up on every page, or that character had a very important part in the story. So characters are in our stories. There can be many characters. There can be one character. We can have a main character or several main characters. But a character in a story is who or what the story is about. When we focus on the setting of a story, the setting tells us where and when the story takes place. So if you look at this building, the building could be the where the story takes place, and the when is the clock. As a reader, we should be thinking, when did this happen? That gives us a little more understanding of the story. So we're going to look at some examples of characters and settings in different situations. Here are some examples of characters. A character could be a child. A character could be a grandparent, could be an adult. You could have a story where the character is the teacher, and you might even learn that teacher's name in the story. All three of these characters could even be in one story. Those would be the who the story is about. Birds can be characters in a story, even a lizard. Those would be the what the story is about. And those can be like humans. You could read a story where a bird talks or a lizard has some thoughts, but they are the characters in the story. A family. A whole family could be the characters in a story, and maybe one of the family members is the main character. You could have a group of friends be in a story, and those are all the characters in the story. Or a crayon. I read a book once where a box of crayons, they were the characters in the story, and they even talked. The setting, once again, is where and when the story takes place. So a story could be taking place in someone's house, and you could be specific and say, that happened in Jack's house, or it could happen in a park. And the settings can change. Maybe when you're reading a story, the characters start off in someone's house, but they end the story at a park. It could be a store. Maybe everything that's going on in the book you're reading is in a store. Or it can be really specific, and it can even be like Florida. The setting, where did that story take place? Oh, they were in Florida. That's the where the story takes place. Remember, the clock is when the story takes place. So you might be able to tell from clues, or the characters might even tell you, this is happening in the morning or the evening. Could be at lunchtime. It can be specific like a day. Maybe you read a story and everything that happened was on a Monday, or maybe that story took place for a few days. You could even have a story happening on a holiday, and that's the when the story takes place. So this week, as you're reading, these are the two story elements that we want you thinking about. Thinking about the characters, and maybe which ones do you notice on every page? Which ones have an important role? Which ones could be those main characters? And then think about the setting of your story. Where and when is that story taking place? And remember, it can change. There can be several settings, and the time the story takes place can change. So get yourself a good book this week, and even when we give you some assignments, as you're reading, think about these two story elements.